been a true scorcher of a day here in Wallingford, Connecticut. Heat index rapidly approaching 100 degrees, but we're getting set to bring you this week's edition of League Night at OTK. We're now seeing the first group for qualifying go out. This week, we don't see any frills, no frills this week. Just your normal forward direction, no joker this week. So we'll see who's able to tackle the turns of OTK the best here tonight. This week we have 11 drivers for each respective main. The top 5 quickest drivers paired with the fastest 6th driver will make the A main. The rest will go down to the B main. See in this one, Gone Racing. Making his return. But perhaps more surprisingly is the departure, or the absence, rather, of JP57, who won last week's A main. Him paired with Martinsville Muffin and Lurchie. Those three are some pretty big heavy hitters. Each of those three, respectively, had a top 5 in the A main just last week. It was a bit of a surprise to not see them here this week. But perhaps even more surprising is the absence of Nasty, who is one of your true title contenders. Past master, as with perhaps every week here at On Track, is in fact present, and he will look to build a true gap on Nasty in the Sodi World Series points lead, as their 3 laps have just finished up here in the qualifying. Sitting atop the board, just now setting his fast lap time is Quad B with a 38.098, followed then by Danny D in P2. Man, he's had a really good month. He's had a really good month with a 38.5, so a significant drop off from P1 to P2. We'll wait and see if left can improve. Just one spot from 7th to 6th, but in 3rd we see Chase H. 4th we see Gone Racing. Emma Baker qualifies P5. Left again in P6. Firefighter is in P7. Mark L is P8. Jester is in P9. Shock 537 in P10. And JJB will round out your field in P11. We'll have to see how Danny D can perform in this one here, because not often he sees himself on the front row, but it'll be certainly quite fantastic. We'll see if left can improve as we're getting set to go here. The drivers are coming under the bridge now, and the green flag waves were underway in the first qualifier. Quad B doesn't get nearly as good of a jump as he would have hoped, and that sees Danny D in the lead and building a slight gap. A little bit of beating and banging in the back of the pack here, but not too much change in the running order. Emma Baker, in fact, drops down just a tad. Now running, and I believe that is P8. Let's see if Danny D can really hold on to this heat race win. As you saw just last week, there was not so much animosity, but some disagreement from Quad B, who's running right on his tailpipes. Just last week, it was Danny D who gave him a little bit of a shunt with just a few laps to go that saw Quad B fall out of A-main contention. He was running in P4 and he dropped, I believe, down to maybe P7, maybe P6. Right now, your A-main looks like Danny D, Quad B, Chase H, Gone Racing, and Mark L will round out your guaranteed A-main spots. We'll see if Clef will be able to make it by any of those 5 drivers. Moreover, we'll see if he can actually get a good enough lap time as Chester makes a dive into the hairpin corner. He will get the job done. A little bit of rubbing, but nothing too far out of the ordinary here for OTK. But yes, a true scorcher here at On Track today. Lap times aren't going to be nearly what they were compared to last week, but that's to no one's surprise. The track is a little bit more slick with the humidity, and naturally the engines aren't going to run nearly as well as they would have if we had a colder track. That top 5 has really pulled a slight gap on left there in P6. At the very moment, left has just ran his best lap time of the race, but we'll see if a 38.7 will be nearly enough to maintain him in spot as Chester is making a hard charge yet again. He just ran the fastest lap of the race down to P8. If Chester can make his way into an A-main spot, as he's now on Firefighter's bumper for P7, right behind Pete in left in P6. Quad B looking ever so slightly into turn 2, now looking into turn 3. Not gonna make it happen here, but he is right on his bumper here. Just 0.2 off. Yeah, that top 5 has really pulled a big gap. That last lap on left in P6 there. There's now a 2-second gap between P5 and P6, so left clearly isn't running what he needs to run to be able to say, hey, I'm the fastest 6th place driver, put me in the A-main. Left is saying he might have a problem here. His throttle might be, yes, his throttle. Something, yeah, having an issue with his throttle as the caution comes out here. Unsure of what's happened here, but left seems to have an issue with his throttle. He was running, as I said, in P6, hadn't yet gone past as caution came out, so he should see himself get back into P6 with that cart issue. We'll have to see which cart he gets swapped into here, but see if he does swap his car. Do not know if he will he swap his car? No, he will not. It appears that might not have been nearly as catastrophic an issue with that 14 as we thought it was. Left will get his spot back, P6. But yes, his lap times aren't nearly what we want to see out of a driver in P6 that's trying to make it over that hump. Our crew chief giving a little talk to left here to see what the issue was there with that kart. See if the decision holds to, and as I say that, it appears he might actually change his kart here. We'll have to see if he does maintain that spot in P6. As we see, he's going to hop in kart 20 here. We'll have to see how that kart performs here tonight. Sure, a lot of these drivers are not really enjoying having to sit around these steaming hot karts. Already see a few of these drivers looking up to me on the bridge here, giving me the little side eye. They're not enjoying this heat at all, but neither am I, quite frankly. As left gets set to pull out of pit lane, we'll get ready to get this race back underway with 9 to go here. Will be getting P6 back. He's doing a really good job pulling off the hard charging parts behind him in Firefighter and Jester. Once again, Jester just a couple, just maybe a tenth off of the fastest lap of the race. It'll be a long trek to take the green flag again for all these drivers. They're going to have to once again come all the way under the bridge. It will be a long lap, but we'll have to see if they can navigate these corners. See if Quad B can finally make it by Danny D. See if he gives a little bit of a shunt here. Slow it down just a hair to get the last of the guys caught up to the back of the pack. Danny D will lead your field to the green flag on this restart. They are under the bridge and we are racing yet again. Danny D dives to the inside, Quad B to the outside. Not really going to work as we see Gone Racing gets shuffled out potentially here. No, not quite. But left might take advantage here. He might make his way past Mark L for P5. Will he do it? No, he will not. He gets put into the wall there, but there's a lot of shuffling there. Jester now in the wall, getting pushed out wide. Some hard battling there for 8th place. That 20 definitely seems to be a lot more competent than that 14 car did, or at least post-kart issue. Despite all the beating and bang, and there wasn't really too much positional changes in the field. Quad B, meanwhile, up front, sitting in P2, getting a little bit impatient, but we'll see if he can make his way by. As I said, the lap times aren't too great. Just the leader, Danny D, is running at 38.421. Compared to last week, we saw nearly 9/10 quicker from JP57. Quad B still on his tailpipes here, sitting 2/10 back. Then another 5/10 back is Chase H. Gone Racing making his return and sitting in P4. 1.3 seconds off the lead. Left in P6 has already caught, I should say. Mark L in P5. Running significantly quicker in that 20 kart than that 14 was. H with the fastest lap of the race. That's a 38.233. That top three is really now gathered itself up here. Okay, there he goes. Quad B to the inside. We'll see if it makes it stick. No, it will not. Will Chase H make it by for second place? No, he will not. Now he might get shuffled back as Gone Racing is looking for P3 now. And he will take it. Just bad luck there from Chase H. Helping Danny D through on the inside really hurt him. He lost a spot there. But we have seen him be very quick here. We'll see if Mark L can hold off left for P5 for that guaranteed A main transfer spot. Definitely putting on a few blocking maneuvers to hold left at bay. We'll see if that holds off for these last 2 laps here. On Racing now is putting on a few blocking maneuvers. We'll see if that lets the left catch up. Back of the pack is relatively spaced out here, but the real battle is in the front here as left looks on the outside going through the carousel. Not quite gonna make it work. See if Quad B can make it by him. A little bit of a bumper to him as the white flag waves. Is left gonna be able to make it by for that guaranteed transfer spot? Or will he have a fast enough lap time to get himself in anyway? Currently at a 38.246. That's a really good lap time for P6. Markel putting on the blocking lines. Danny D, meanwhile, making it through the carousel for the final time in this heat race. He will get it done. Danny D takes the race win. Followed then by Quad B, Gone Racing, Chase H, and Mark L will hold on to that guaranteed transfer spot. Left finishing 1 spot behind him with that 38.246 second lap time. We'll have to see if that's enough to get him into the A main. That's a matter of who finishes down in 6th in this next heat race in Group 2. Sitting behind him in P7 is Jester. He had a good lap time there, but just wasn't able to really make anything of it. He had a 38.320. Briefly saw himself making his way up, but finishes down in 7th. Couldn't see himself on the pole in the B main. Fighter Fire down in P8. I believe Emma Baker sits in P9 there. Shock 537 sitting in P10. And then finally JJV in P11. We'll have to see how this next race shapes out, as we see a lot of heavy hitters and some returning drivers for their first time in a long time. We'll see Justin T make his return to On Track. Hoosier Daddy also making his return. Fives also. We'll have to see who gets it done in the heat race number 2. Stay tuned. starting to see the first of the drivers head out on track for this week's second qualifier. As I said, some heavy hitters in this one. A couple of which making their return, those being Piasca and Hoosier Daddy. But another guy that's not so much making his return is Passmaster. He's sitting right up there at the top of your leaderboard for Sodi World Series. Heavily amidst a points battle with Nasty, who, as I said before, is not here tonight. We'll have to see if Passmaster can really take advantage of that and see himself up all alone at the top of the Sodi World Series standings. Another guy that's making a long-awaited return is Just a T. He actually, after the first lap, sees himself at the top of the leaderboard. Well, not to be outdone by Passmaster and Hoosier Daddy, paired with Stevo now. K2 is also making his return. But if Just a T, after just this long amount of time, can see himself into the A-main, man, that would be very impressive. His second lap sees Piasca run a 38.466, just a couple tenths off of what the best lap time was in that last heat race. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Passmaster, not to be outdone, runs the fastest lap time, I believe, of the day, potentially, with a 38.141 on his second lap. So he still has another lap to even outdo himself with that one. Piasca, though, not too far behind him with a .198 on his final lap. And it's a significant gap to Hoosier Daddy in P3. And then an even more significant gap down to P4. Passmaster does not improve on his third lap time. Neither does Hoosier Daddy. He ran a 38.406. But down in P4 is Just a T, making, as I said, his long-awaited return. But he is down in the 39-second lap time range. So it's a significant gap from P3 just down to P4. As I say that, though, from P4 down to P8, there's less than a 2/10 lap time, or less than 2/10 separating their lap times from one another. So that's a phenomenal thing to see, really, amidst all this heat. But your top five will be Passmaster starting on the pole, and Piasca making his return in P2, Hoosier Daddy in P3, Just a T in P4. Fives will round out your top five. Ironically, Stevo in P6. He made the A-main last week. We're getting set to go here. They're under the bridge. We're good to go. We're green flag racing in this heat race. A lot of bumping here early on, but I believe Just a T is able to barely hang on to P4 here. The moment I cannot tell who made it 5 for P5 there. But Fives has lost P5. I believe that would be Espo 4 that had taken over 5th place here. As they're coming to take the first full lap here, Passmaster sits in P1 with a 38.215. Fiasco with a 38.248. So they're right in that range. They could really start to run away with this thing if they want to. Who's Your Daddy just about a second off the pace here. Or a couple tenths off the pace, but already a second back here. Actually, back. After that restart, as we see fives potentially, yes, he will get passed there by Steve-O. Looked like Espo might have braked a little bit too early going into that hairpin. Fives definitely puts a bumper on him a little bit, but we'll have to see if he can make his way back by for P5 here. We'll also have to see if Steve-O can make his way past Espo for that guaranteed spot, I should say. Just as I anticipated, those top two are really running away with it now, but Fiasco with the best lap time of the race with a 38.020. So we could see our first 37-second lap time in this race. First 37-second lap time of the night in this race. Your Daddy is starting to fade a little bit further back now. It's really going to be those top two that pull away from the pack. Just a T now sitting comfortably in P4 with Espo 4 right behind him in P5. About half a second off now. But he's really gained now through those hairpin corners. If my mind reminds me correctly, I believe this is the first time that Justin T has seen those hairpin corners. I don't think he's raced since the new layout has become a thing here at OTK. So we'll have to see how he adjusts to this layout here. At last lap there, Fiasco set the fastest time of the race with the 38.019, just 1,000th better. And as I thought, it is in fact the day record. That battle for P4 now really starting to heat up. As Steve-O looks to make the dive, not gonna make it work. He looked for it into the new hairpin, but got back in the line right in time to not lose so much time here. As Fiasco continues to improve, that gap continues to shorten just a tad. He had 38.008 on that last lap, so we're really inching closer to seeing that 37 now. Passmaster with his own PB that last lap. He knows he's having a really good battle here at the front with Fiasco here. He ran a 38.024. Fiasco's really closed that gap now. He's 3/10 off, but once again, as we know here at On Track, 3/10 isn't that much. He is giving him the bumper here. So too is Espo 4 in P5. He's giving Justin T the bumper to see if he can make his way past for P4. All that going on, that's seen Fives actually catch back up into this battle. Not running significantly good lap times by any means, but he's running faster than those three guys in front of him, so we'll have to see if he can make anything of that. As Steve-O gives the bumper, he might get caught out here by Fives, and he will for P7. Or excuse me, now that's for P6. That's Fives that moves up from P7 into P6. But with that move now having been done, he is now a good ways back of P5. So we'll have to see if Fives can really find 3/10 out of nowhere and beat Left's lap time to see himself in the A main. I don't see 3/10 coming out of thin air for him, but we'll have to see here. In the back of the pack, we see a little bit potentially of contact between GTSR and Peppers 58. An attempt at a dive really made GTSR drop back a significant amount. He's staying down in P10. Hoosier Daddy in his own world in P3 as the top two continue to battle. Across the stripe, we're going to see 4 to go here. That battle for P4 is sticking completely tight. We'll have to see who can make it work here and who can keep a hold onto their A main spot. If Fives can make it by Espo, he will see himself through, but there's a little bit more contact from Stevo. I must say, any of those drivers sitting in 4th through 6th position in that transfer battle, none of them have a better lap time than Left, who ran a 38.246. The fastest lap time of that group would be Fives, but he only has a 38.575. So really, he probably knows he has to get by Espo here if he wants to see himself through. As I say that, though, he's putting on some blocking maneuvers trying to keep Stevo at bay. As there it is, there's the 37 we've been waiting for. Passmaster, in fact, gets it from the race lead, a 37.979. The first 37 of the day here at OTK. As the leaders come to the stripe, we see the white flag fly one more time around here. See if lap traffic has any effect. I don't believe it really will. No, it will not. Piasca, as I say that though, on that second to last lap there, he had a 37.962. So he outdoes Passmaster for the fastest lap of the day, as there's a true battle here for the transfer spot. But coming out of the final corner, he sees the checkered flag. Passmaster will take the race win, followed closely by Piasca. Hoosier Daddy finishes P3 as through the final sets of corners, just a T will finish P4. Espo rounds out the top 5. Fives will finish P6, one spot out of the A main, as he's left into it yet again for the second week in a row by the skin of his teeth. He makes the A main. Stevo finishes down in P7, followed then by K2. Good to see him back here at OTK. Peppers 58 will finish in P9. GTSR will finish in P10. And Savico, one lap down, will finish in P11. Very shortly, we're going to see some interviews with some drivers. going to have just a short amount of time in between these races to see who can really get the job done in the A main. Going to get some interviews getting ready to go here. Right back.
Test.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. DJ. I'm gonna set up. All right, so Hazmat started on the pole after setting the first 37 of the day. Not to be outdone with Oscar, though, one lap later. Think he can pull away from starting right behind him? All right, Fast Master, good luck out there. All right. Next round of interviews will be Danny D starting in P2. All right, Danny D starting P2 in this one. Very good. A good month, but I gotta ask, how long have you been racing here?
Not long, at least 9 years. Right now it's also flight home on Wednesday night. And family is basically coming up. Not too much, I think, but they can listen to the page. That makes a difference for me.
Absolutely. Best of luck in this one. I hope to see you do really well in this one. Hopefully you get the win. Now is the Oscar. The return after Davis set the fastest last time of the day with a P3 starting spot. Think you can get it done?
As long as I get a good car, I'd be worried if I'm first or second.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll see how those fronts you can do. We see Danny B starting in P2, so hopefully you can see your way through that. Maybe get fast master on the process.
Yeah, a little bit of go. Go.
Absolutely, yes. Good luck. All right, Wadi, see you starting in P4.
Yep.
I mean, you got Danny D right in front of you. You saw a little bit of some, not so much animosity, but just a little bit of some rubbing in that first race. We'll see if you can, you think you can make it by him cleanly this time around?
If I get some help, can I get a car that
Absolutely. Well, starting before this one, best of luck to you.
all right?
Now we got which one inside the top 5 starts. See if you can make it up to the front early.
Yeah, so I think those bottom lanes can go and top make sure the top can go. But yeah, a lot of speed doesn't pass me going from the front end.
Well, we'll have to see if he can even get it done from 11, but let's go watch it.
Hey.
Yeah, it's Bob Racing. Sitting one spot back now, taking 57 in the Sodi standings. It was a good run tonight. I think you can reverse that.
I mean, I hope so. I know JP's a really good racer. He comes in week in and week out. And, I mean, you know, I said, if we're 5th and 4th right now, it's not going to really matter. I would like to stay. I would like to stay where I am right now. But we're only separated by 20, 30 points right now. So I'm really hoping that we can do something good today.
Absolutely. Well, the rest of the guys, here's we're a little bit short on time here, so I'm not able to get the last of interviews, but best of luck in your part.
All right, thank you very much.
right, we're getting set to go for this week's A main. We apologize for not being able to get to quite everyone in this A main for the interviews. We got up to P6. I had to ask a few drivers about how they're feeling about this time around, this A main that's coming up. One in particular really stuck out to me was Espo. This is his first A main here in Wallingford. He went to the old Brookfield track. That track has now sadly since closed, but we'll have to see if he can make his way up there. He said he was an A main regular. Just the T, another one of those guys that the new track layout is very unfamiliar to him, but did say he has run it once before. So we'll have to see if that heat race actually does provide him a little bit of help here. As we're getting set to go, we're getting the go-ahead from the track marshals. The pack starts to go. They're going under the bridge. We're green flag racing in the A main. Passmaster, a little bit of bump in there, but he will see himself through to the lead. A little bit of contact in the back of the pack there. And sees the left make his way up to P9 before they even take the official green flag here at the start-finish stripe. A lot of beating and banging in the back of the pack here. Meanwhile, the top four is all alone here, running single file, and then it's 2 by 2 by 2 in the back of the pack. Justin T getting swallowed up here. We'll have to see if he can hold on. Markel with a late dive. Not quite going to be able to make it work. As Passmaster is already pulling a large gap on Danny D, sitting at P2. Yatska, though, in that 19. That 19 was the kart that I believe set the fastest lap time last week. It might have been the 7, though. Regardless, though, that 19 is an absolute rocket ship. So we'll have to see if he has the pace to catch up to Passmaster yet again, just like he did in the heat race. The field now settles down. We're all single file here. Yaska already on the back bumper of Danny D for P2. Meanwhile, in the back of the pack, the real battle here is between Left and Who's Your Daddy. So, both him and I were very wrong. He was, in fact, able to make his way up past him. So, we'll see if Left can actually make his way up to the lead. Gonna be a tall ask for him, but you never know with the guy. I think he'll be more than content with the top 5, but even that, with Quad B running in that 9 kart, he's running 38.3, so we'll have to see. As I say that, he actually runs the fastest lap time of the race. Quad B with a 38.183. Piasca has now made his way past Danny D for second place. It's now just between him and Passmaster, so we'll see if he can match or better the lap times of your pole sitter and race leader. Espo has fallen back, running 39-second lap times, so not quite gonna cut it for this A main here. Really good to see him make the A main in the first place, though, so I'm happy for the guy. Has gone racing with the hard dive into the new hairpin. He makes it work, albeit with a slide. Almost a power slide move. but he will make it work for P3. We'll see if he can make it up to the front. NAD now starting to drop back from his starting spot of P2. He's already lost a couple of spots now. Is already getting pressure put on him by Quad B, and now left and Hoosier Daddy for I guess P4. As we almost see 3 wide in the back. God, that was never going to work, guys. Chase H barely able to make that work. There were 2 wide going into the new hairpin. We had just a T on the inside there, Mark L on the outside. Oh, are they going to give him the blue and yellow for that? Ooh. Looks as though they might. I do understand that. I understand that move. As I say that, though, there's already a battle for the lead. Piasca is right on the bumper. He just ran the fastest lap of the race the past lap. He ran a 38.056, and he's right there. Is he going to make the dive into turn 1? No, he's not. Passmaster putting on the blocking moves here. But my goodness, has he closed that gap immediately. Talk about a week hiatus. What hiatus for the guy? He's running for the lead. Meanwhile, the battle for P4 continues to spice up just a tad. As a result of that blue and yellow flag, though, to Chase H, that sees him drop down to P10. Carson in Gone Racing, I should say. He is making his way up to potentially catch those leaders. The Passmaster is really talking the crap out of Piasca in P1. This battle for P4, as I said, is really tight in, but so too is the battle for the lead. Carson, Gone Racing, he's right there. Passmaster continues to dive to the inside of the new hairpin, trying to block the run off the corner exit. We'll see if he's able to maintain it, but with that newfound pace of Piasca and Gone Racing behind him, it's not going to be too much longer, I fear, for the guy. But yeah, as a result of that blue and yellow flag earlier, Chase H dropped down to P10. Mark L was able to retake P8. And Justin T sits now in P9. As that battle for the lead really spicing up the bumper to Passmaster by Piasca. Is he gonna make it work though? It's gonna be super tight. Is it gonna work? No, it's not. Through the corner. Now Danny Dean's in the conversation. He sits in P4. Is he gonna make the dive? The bumper by Gone Racing there, and he has the inside line. He has the advantage. He will make it through for P3. Danny D into P3. As a result of that, too, though, we see now, wow, Gone Racing being a little bit over-aggressive, and that cost him big time. He drops all the way from P3 down to P6 at the end of this lap. Even lower, P7. 4 spots lost in 1 lap. Really almost 3 corners. He's lost 4 spots. Now it becomes a matter yet again of whether or not Passmaster can just block Piasca for that race lead. see if Hoosier Daddy can make his way past Danny D. Not quite through the carousel, but he is running just a hair quicker, just a hair under a tenth quicker, I should say. As Piasca does make his way by for the race lead into turns 1 and 2. How quick Piasca caught Taskmaster. I think he might be home free here, but you never know it on track. As Hoosier Daddy looks to the inside of Danny D. Is he going to make it by? No, he's not into turn 1. Will he maintain the inside? No, he will not. So we see 5 to go here at this week's A-Main. Oh, man, that's a huge bump by left there on Hoosier Daddy. This is getting hectic in the middle of the pack here. Very, very hectic. Being too wide everywhere now. Oh, just a T. Really didn't like the move there put on him by Chase H. He just tried to take him out and didn't work as well for him as he would have hoped. Piasca now really starting to run away with this thing. He had a 38.086. He's just continuing to run away. He's already pulled an 8/10, nearly 9/10 gap on Taskmaster in this race. A lot of beating and banging for P3 though, as Hoosier Daddy looks to make it by Danny D. The bumper to him. He gets the bumper right back by Danny D. Not going to be a clean pass, I can tell you that for P3. Maybe it will. Will he make the dive? Yes, he will. Will he hold it? No, he will not. Into the inside wall, there goes Quad B. Too wide going into new hairpin. Quad B will help for the time being Hoosier Daddy, but that does see Danny D gets shuffled back down quite a number of spots there. Two to go now here into 1 and 2, those mid-pack. And Danny D is just getting shuffled and shuffled further back. He sees himself down, I believe, in P8 now. That is, man, he sees himself, yeah, I feel bad for the guy now. But with 2 to go, now coming to see the white flag is Piasca. Will he get it done here? Not quite with the fastest lap of the race. That belongs to Gone Racing. But one more time around for Piasca. As I said before, it's a 1-week hiatus. No such thing for the guy. He'll just go out and win anyway. Taskmaster sitting right behind him. The battle for P3 is really heating up. We'll have to see how this works out at the end here. But through the carousel, for the final time, Piasca with a large gap on Taskmaster. He will take the win in this week's A-Main. A lot of beating and banging here. Wow, that Quad B gets shuffled back there. Quite a number of spots. Wow. Hoosier Daddy will finish P3, followed then by the left, coming from last to finish P4 inside the top 5. Gone Racing with that top 5 spot there. Phenomenal job for him. Quad B gets shuffled back to 6th. He goes from 3rd to 6th on that last lap. Chase Ace right behind him in P7. Then a tight battle from P8 down to P10. That's going to be Mark L P8, Danny D in P9, and just a T in P10. And rounding out your field will be Espo 4. What a phenomenal race that was. A lot of shuffling in that one. Pass for the lead midway through the race. Compared to last week, we saw JP57 run away with it early, and my goodness, a lot more beating and banging in that one, but phenomenal race that was. Be a little bit of a disagreement there. Once again, Quad B, not really in agreement with, I believe it might be Who's Your Daddy, who put him into the wall through the carousel of that final corner. Could be very wrong, we'll have to see. But at the end of the day, we're getting ready to go already here for the B main. Your nightcap at OTK, the B main. As the carts start to get fired up here, getting prepared for the B main. We have a couple notable drivers from this race that made the A main just last week, just missed out on it this week, but those being Steve-O and Jester, starting second and third respectively. Fives will be starting on the pole here. We'll have to see how he does after a slight hiatus, but a guy that can often see himself in the A main. I don't see a world where, unless there's a little bit of contact, I don't see a world where he doesn't finish well here. Getting set to go here. They're about to get lined up in their respective spots. But to backtrack to your A main, your finishing order is Piasca, Passmaster, who's your daddy in P3, and I believe it's left in P4. And forgive me again for not calling the finishing driver in your top 5, but I believe it might have been Gone Racing, but I cannot recall. At any rate, they're already getting set to go. Always good to see K2 starting near the front here in this race. Already got a few fans on the bridge here, cheering him on. See a few new drivers in this race, those being Javago and JJB. We'll have to see how they perform in this one. Oh boy, we got left getting ready to throw the green flag here. We're good to go in the B main. Gotta say, some phenomenal green flag work from left there, starting this B main race. Already pulling out to an early lead is Jesser. He's in kart 19, so we won't have too much trouble here. Already single file, but as I say that, Steve-O looking to get by. Oh boy. Wow, okay, that was certainly some driving there for P2, but that really sees Jesser pull away now for the lead. Steve-O sitting in P3 behind Firefighter in P2. 5 sees himself drop down a spot into P4. Peppers now sits in P5. K2 has dropped a ton of spots as a result of that move. Jesser, the only driver to even get within a 38-second lap on that first lap of the B main. All the rest of the drivers were 40-second lap times and below. Of course, that's going to change soon enough, but with that gap, a 2-second gap after lap 1, you can practically see the checker flag in his visor. Single file racing here again. Although they are single file, they are all right on each other's tailpipes. Battle for third. You see Steve-O in 5s. We'll see if he's able to hold on to it. As I say that, I look away for 2 seconds. There's already a battle right there for it. Will 5s get the crossover? It looks like, based off of where he's at, he will get it done. He's clear into the hairpin corner. Turn 4 sees 5s get by Steve-O for P3. Jester is in his own world right now. And although Firefighter is running his own PBs, Jester is just setting fast lap after fast lap. He just said, I believe that says a 3.87 compared to Firefighter's 4.28. Gap staying relatively consistent here. We'll see if the gap drops at any point between first and second. Does not look like it. They're both setting their own PBs lap after lap, but Firefighter actually had a significant improvement that last lap. He had a .369, but so too did Jester. He had a 3.50. Quite frankly, that top five is very evenly spaced, and then the first somewhat of a battle we see is for P6. That's between Peppers, Shock, and GTSR. Five sets the fastest lap of the race. He gets down into a 38.184. Jester is now down to a 2-second gap compared to the 2.2 second gap just a lap prior. Firefighter has actually gained a little bit. See now if Fives can make his way up to the front. Got a little bit unlucky there at the start of the race, but he's already seeing himself make his way up towards the front of the pack. So too is Stevo. He ran at 38.299. One of only 4 drivers to be within that 38.2 second range. Excuse me, no, not even. Only 3 drivers are in that range. Jester is yet to hit that lap time. If Firefighter continues to run 38.3s compared to that 38.4 that Jester ran, we could see him make his way up for the race lead. Just as I say that, he runs the fastest lap time of the race, a 38.159 compared to Jester's 38.475. Just a couple laps ago, we saw the gap at 2.2 seconds is dropped to 1.6. There's a significant gap from P5 down to P6 now. But we did see Shock make his way past Pepper for P6. Once again, Firefighter sets the fastest lap of the race. A 38.117 in that 11 cart compared to Jester's 38.366. He continues to run at this pace as they reach halfway. You can see him be right on his bumper towards the closing laps of this one. Fives has kept the gap relatively maintained. He hasn't really gained much, but hasn't really lost much either there. 3.7 seconds back of the lead. Firefighter now just 1.2 seconds back of the race lead. Jester is growing and growing in his division. He wants to get by for that race win. Meanwhile, in the back of the pack, A2 wasn't so lucky. He sits down in P9. He started pretty far up front, I believe, maybe P5, maybe P6. At the end of the day, though, P9, not exactly what you want to see. Got a feel for him, though. Nothing really he could have done. Towards the back of the pack, we see Peppers make a late lunge. trying to get into the back of Shock for P6. Nothing doing there. GTS are following him rather than taking advantage of that slight mess up, but those spots remain unchanged as we see the leaders approaching lap traffic. We'll see if that has any play in this one, as the gap is now down to 0.8 seconds. It wasn't too long ago we saw it well over 2 seconds. That gap is shrinking and shrinking. Firefighter has been the far more consistent driver in terms of his lap times. He's been staying in a 38.2 lap after lap. Jester, so too has Jester been a consistent, but not the type of consistency you want to see. Firefighter now down to 0.6 seconds behind. That gap shrinks and shrinks. Now this lap traffic is definitely going to play a factor here, so we just got to be prepared for that one. As they cross the stripe, we see 5 to go. Jester runs his personal best lap time of the race. He knows the pressure's on him now. Firefighter still though with a 38.165. Gap down to under half a second. And we said it during the A main. We both know, we all know here at OTK, half second, you're right on his bumper if you're under a half second. One slip up could equal you're getting passed. That's as simple as that. As they approach lap traffic here, do they move him out of the way? Firefighter is on him. And like just as I thought, the lap traffic does play a factor. Oh man. Firefighter uses the lap traffic as a pick to a T to take the lead into turn 2. Meanwhile, in the back of the pack, we see Peppers make his way back by Shock for P6. Good pass into turn 4 there. Will we see the lap traffic here play any factor? No, they will not. He moves out of the way. Wow, that is just an unfortunate turn of events for Jester. We'll see if he can get any extra horsepower out of that kart and make his way back by. Oh man, what a consistent drive there by Firefighter to make his way up to the race lead as we see 2 to go now. It'll take a lot from Jester to make his way back by for that race lead and for the B-main win. As I say that though, he's on the bumper through the light bulb. Looking to the outside through the new hairpin will not be quite close enough. As they see the white flag go out one more time around, they're right on each other's bumpers. Will we see the bumper put on Firefighter for that race lead, for that race win? You know that Jester feels that that race win got ripped from his grasp. He's right there. Will he make the move? He looks to the outside. Oh, I think that little bump just sets it in stone there for Firefighter. Coming out of the final corners. He will take the win in the B-main. Jester just 0.2 seconds back. But man, what a drive from Firefighter there to take that B-main victory. 5's not too far back, just about 4 seconds back in P3. Steve-O finishing P4. Emma Baker will round out your top 5. Peppers down in P6. Stock 537 in P7. GTSR will finish P8. K2 will be in P9. Stavico will finish 1 lap down in P10. And JJV, perhaps a huge factor in this one, not for the right reason, but he finishes 1 lap down in P11, rounding out your field. The firefighter wins this round of the B main. Uses that lap traffic as a pick to perfection. You cannot do it too much better than that. As we get set to wrap things up here. All right, we're getting set to sign off for this one, so it's been a pleasure to bring OTK's league.